Hey guys, Aaron here. Welcome to another Body Club workout. Today we'll be doing a Pilates class for recreational endurance runners. Here in part one, we'll be specifically focusing on mobility. So if you're looking for a resistance-based workout or a core class, I do have other videos in this series on the Body Club website or YouTube channel. So mobility is an important physical capacity for recreational runners to address, and one that is widely often overlooked. Unaddressed muscular tightness can lead to imbalances around the joints, can increase stress placed upon connective tissues and can lead to suboptimal running mechanics. In the worst case, this can lead to niggles and injuries that ultimately will end up impairing performance. So today's session is going to focus on mobility drills that address tightnesses, specifically ones that are commonly found in recreational endurance runners. So let's go ahead and get started. So equipment today, you just need a yoga mat if possible. If you don't have a yoga mat, you can roll up a towel, and also yoga blocks. And if you don't have yoga blocks, you could just stack up some books, also absolutely fine. So we're going to start off with some ankle mobility drills, okay? So we're going to start with these ankle stepovers. You're going to take the ball of your foot onto the rolled up mat, heel onto the floor, and then we're going to take a little bit of a bend through the knee, okay? And so we're going to be working on this capacity called ankle dorsiflexion range of motion. And then I'm just going to take a small step forwards, bend my knee, so I'm pushing the knee over the toes whilst keeping the heel pressing into the floor, okay? And then I'm just going to step back. Stepping forwards, bend the back knee, and release. This helps us to stretch muscles down through the calves, specifically the soleus muscle as well as Achilles tendon. Start to take slightly bigger steps, really try and keep that heel driving downward towards the floor. Keep bending that knee forward. And you're going to do the last one, and you're going to hold it. And release. Good. Just to get a little bit of movement through the ankles there and the feet. Ball of the left foot on top of the mat, heel onto the floor. Step over, a little bit of a knee bend, pushing through, and step back. Stepping forward, over, and back. Creating that mobility through that ankle dorsiflexion. And last two. And you're going to hold that last one. Really bending the knee now, putting good pressure through that ankle joint. All your weight over that foot and release. Excellent, good stuff. So we're now going to create some rotation as well around the ankle joint. So I'm going to go into that bent knee position again. And then from here I'm just going to rotate around. So I'm going to balance, I'm going to rotate and step around. So imagine you're on a clock face and you're going to keep your heel on the floor and your foot on the floor, and you're going to twist your body around. And then you're going to come back round the other way, twist round the other way. Okay. So again, just bringing some nice mobility into that foot and ankle with rotation. Really important to address for runners, that mobility through the ankle. Couple more. Really reach around. Imagine you're going to draw a circle on the floor with your other foot. Draw a circle around and release. Good, it feels quite nice that for your ankle joint. Remember, when you're planting your foot on the floor, you actually want to pick up your toes and spread out your toes. Nice wide base of support. Bend through the knee, rotate back, open up the hip, Try not to collapse through the foot, twist the foot. And then we're going to rotate all the way through the other way. And twist. And twist. And twist. Good. Just circling your breathing. Try not to tense up your breathing too much. Just focusing on keeping your foot gripping in one place. This is why yoga mat's really useful, because it helps your foot stay in place. There's a good grip on it so you can get good purchase on the mat. One more. And through. And back. Excellent. We're going to carry on with the calf stretching. Moving a little bit more into gastrocnemius, another one of your calf muscles, and further up the posterior chain into the hamstrings as well. So we've got two versions we're going to do here. So if you've done any yoga, then you'll be familiar with the downward dog stretching. Again, range of motion through the hamstrings, another really important quality. So we're going to push up into a downward facing dog, and then we're just going to walk the heels out. So I'm going to push down through the mat through my hands. Really spread out your fingers again so you've got good grip. Push up and through. And then you're going to push your bottom up and back as far as you can, and your heels downward towards the floor. And then I'm going to lift my heels and I'm going to lower one side, lift the heels and lower the other side. And keep that going. You'll feel a really nice pull through the back of the leg. You're trying to push your knee towards straight and your heel towards the floor. Lifting and lowering, looking between the knees. Good, you're going to do 2 more reps. Exhale on every rep down. And release. You might find that you're a little bit tighter on one side than the other. It's quite normal to be holding sort of asymmetries and tightnesses on one side compared to the other. From there then we're going to go through and take this even deeper. So it's the same shape, but now I'm going to reach my hand to my opposite ankle. So I come up through that downward facing dog position, and I then reach to the outside of the ankle and I pull myself through. Now it might be a bit far to go to the ankle, so you could always just aim to tap the foot, okay? Coming forwards into a plank position, up and back, pull through. The leg that you're reaching towards, you're aiming to push that heel downward into the floor, okay? You should be okay rocking forward and back through that plank position. Alternatively, you could drop to your knees each time, reset yourself, and then go up and through again. Straightening the knees, dropping the heels. Head comes through, right underneath. Last one. And release. Good. Excellent stuff. We're now going to move into a stretch off the side of the hip. So it's muscle down through the side of your hip, called your TFL, your tensor fasciae latae. And that attaches to another sheath of connective tissue called your iliotibial band, which can get quite tight, specifically from running quite a lot. And if you're ever getting that little bit of niggling, that lateral knee pain, sometimes it can be due to tightness through this TFL. Okay, so it can contribute to that lateral knee pain. Not always the cause. So from here, I'm going to take a block. Again, you could just stack up a couple of books, all right? You might want to start a bit lower and build the height as you go. All right, I'm going to stand on the block, and then I'm going to step my left foot over the top of the right, like so. I'm going to line my toes up along the floor. I'm going to make sure my hips are nice and square facing forwards. I'm going to push my hips out to the right side, and then I'm going to reach my right arm over and lean across. So I'm really pushing through that hip. From here, getting a good stretch down through the side of the hip and down into the leg. Okay, and then what actually we're going to do is we're just going to start to work through that. So we're going to move and breathe. Push the hip out, exhale, back to the top, inhale. Push the hip out. I'm bearing a little bit of load through that left leg so I can find a bit more length through the right. Each time I go through, I can find a bit more range. Again, that feels really good to open all the way out laterally through the body and back. And then through to the other side. Left foot onto the block, right foot over the top, onto the toes. Okay. Then from here, square up the hips, facing forwards. I'm going to have a little bit of a tuck under through the pelvis, or tuck back through the pelvis so the tailbone lengthens under. Then I can find already I can start to feel the stretch. Okay. So if you find that you're in this position and your back may want to come into this arch, you want to really focus on getting the pelvis to just slightly rotate backwards, and that will start to enhance the stretch that you feel down through the side of the hip. Okay? And then we're going to move into it again where we reach over and push the hip out to the side and then back to the top. Push the hip out to the side, reach, and back. Reach. Each time, you can push a bit further, or you could reach a bit further. So as you come deeper into that, through, 2 to go, through, and release. Good. And relax. So really quite a good running specific stretch, that one. Good. We're going to come down supine onto the mat, so just onto your back, and then we're going to go into this glutes lengthening, a bit of piriformis opening, and also into the lower back as well. So my right ankle is going to come onto my left knee, and I'm going to open the right knee out. I'm going to open my arms out to the side with my palms facing the ceiling, and then nice and simple, I'm just going to twist to the left until my right foot comes flat to the floor, back to the middle, twist to the right, right knee on the floor, back to the middle, twist across, right foot to the floor, back to the center, twist across, knee to floor. And we're just working through gently one side to the other. You may or may not feel tightness through the back, off the hip. Good. And then back through to the center. Let's change to the other side. Left ankle on top of the right knee or thigh. Knee opening out away from you, and then twisting again. Just rotating. See if you can't keep your shoulders, the back of your arms and your hands connected into the floor. Inhale to twist. Exhale back. Inhale to twist. Exhale back. So we're mobilizing really through the hips, the hip joint, and then into the lower back as well. And if you're keeping those shoulders pinned back, opening up through the anterior part of your upper body as well. And one more. And back to the center. Good. Okay, we're going to move through a pigeon stretch. So again, this is a bit of a classic yoga-based movement really. But we'll tie this into the Pilates today. So we're going to go up into a plank position. And then from here, I'm going to lunge my left leg forwards and across the mat. So from here you can see the angle of my shin comes sort of diagonally across the mat. So my left foot is on the right side of the mat. My left knee is on the left side of the mat, and the shin comes across. Then you can wiggle your knee back And you kind of want to be in a position pretty much where this hip bone, the bony process at the front of hip here, the ASIS, is just going to sit on top of the heel. And then I'm going to rock from here side to side gently. If you're running a lot and you're not you don't have mobility as part of your running schedule in your program, then you'll probably feel really quite tight through here. And just rocking gently side to side. Good. I'm then going to add some rotation through the spine. So now I'm going to hold myself onto my right hand, thread my left arm underneath. I'm going to rotate through looking at my fingers. I'm going to drop that left shoulder down towards the floor. And if you feel you've got the range, you could even drop your head down to the floor as well. And then you're going to rotate back up, look at the fingertips, twist, reaching through the fingertips to the ceiling. Exhale through, inhale up. You're feeling like you're spreading out your collarbones. 2 to go. Big twist through. And 1. Good, and release. We're going to come through to the other side. So you're going to step back up into a plank position and lunge that right leg forward. Wiggle back through the left knee and sink down into the hips. Just rocking gently side to side. Now you're in the right position. That right heel should just be sat underneath the left hip. Feels really nice just to loosen out and rock through. Really try and let your hips relax in this position. That's the idea, is trying to switch off a little bit through some of that tension, tightness held in the muscles. Balance on your left arm, thread your right arm through, exhale, twist, drop your shoulder or even your head down to the floor, twist up, look at your fingertips. And through, exhale, and up, inhale. Through, exhale, up, inhale. Good. Last one. And up, reach. And release. Good. And back into that plank position. Well done. Cool. Coming through into the next one. It's called the world's greatest stretch. You might have done it before. It's just a great way to open out through both the hamstrings and the glutes and the hip flexors at the same time. So we're stretching the front leg and the back leg, and I'm also adding rotation through the spine and posturally opening out through the shoulders too. There's also a bit of core work going on in there as well. So there's a lot going on with this stretch. So we're going to come up onto the hands and also onto the toes. I'm going to lunge my right leg to the outside of my right hand, deep lunge. So my foot's outside the mat. And then I'm going to rotate and look up to my hand again, similar to we did last time. Palm comes back, step back, left leg goes up, reach, breathe in, step back, breathe in, out, breathe in, out, breathe in, out, breathe in, out. Keep it going. Two more to go. Really nice deep lunge to open out those hips. Good stuff, guys. And release. All right, I'm really starting to feel a lot more open through my hips and my spine and even my shoulders now. So we're going to start to open out the quads and the hip flexors a little bit. So this time I'm going to come through a stretch with my rear foot elevated onto the blocks. okay? So the block's just going to come off to one side, and you can actually use a chair if you wanted a deeper stretch for your quads. You could use an extra block, or you could keep it a little bit lower. As I say, always stack up some books as well. So just bring your foot on top of the blocks, and you're going to come into a lunge position. It's quite important here that you've got enough width. If you're too narrow, you'll struggle with your balance. Okay, and then to find the stretch, this is a really important quality to be able to find, is that we tend to, when the hip comes into extension and the knee into flexion, we tend to find that that lower back starts to arch. So to find the stretch, we're going to take the tailbone and lengthen the tailbone down towards the floor. At the same time, pull the pubic bone up towards you to create this rotational movement through the pelvis. Once you do that, maybe even a little bit of a squeeze through the glutes on the right leg, you should find that stretch through the front of your right hip or coming down into the quads as well, okay? If you're on a thin mat, maybe you want a cushion underneath your knee to help protect your knee a little bit, especially if you're quite sensitive. Hold that stretch. The more you tuck under, the more that lengthens out the quads. Bend into the left knee a bit more. And now you're going to reach up with your right arm to really lengthen out the whole of that anterior chain. And then I'm going to lean to my left as well. And that gives me a really nice deep stretch through that side of the body. And then release. And I'm actually going to go through that and repeat. Tailbone lengthens under. Bending the front knee, moving the hips forwards. Reaching up with the right arm, lift the chest. Really stretch, imagine being pulled through your fingertips. Flexing across to the left side. And just really opening out through your rectus femoris, through those hip flexors there. Perhaps a little bit up into the psoas as well. Good, other side. Feet on the blocks. As I say, play around with the height of the blocks. Yeah, just give you a little bit of a deeper stretch, either into your rec fem, your psoas mainly, as well as some other muscles. The tailbone's going to lengthen under, then the front knee, push the hips forwards, reach the left arm up, and then lean to your right. Opening through that chain. It's getting a feeling for the position that you're trying to find and release. Okay, next one, we can go a bit deeper into it, same thing. Scoop under, bit deeper, through, reach up and over. Really getting a nice pull through the front of my left hip there. And release, okay? Then we can come and elevate the back foot a bit higher. So as I say, you can either do that on a chair, or we can go through a similar thing here, except this time I'm just gonna hold my foot. So I'm just gonna reach back and hold my foot here. Then I'm gonna pull my heel to my bottom. Same thing with the pelvis. Make sure your back's not over arched. You wanna be neutral. And then bend into the front knee. And then if you want to increase that further, reach the left arm around, open the shoulders, and hold with both hands. If you can't get into that, don't worry. You can always do a standing quad stretch. And release, come to the other side. Holding the foot, pulling the heel to the bottom. Reaching around with the other hand if you can. Hips scoop under a bit, really find that nice deep quad stretch. And release. One more here to really open out through this anterior chain to the front of the body, making sure we're not hinging too much into the lower back while we do it. Knees shoulder width apart, feet shoulder width apart, arms out in front of you. From here we're going to reach the right arm around towards your right heel, and I'm going to lean back through the hips like so. I'm not pushing my hips forward and arching my back. I want to really take care and protect the back. So a bit of a squeeze maybe even through your glutes as you do this. Reach, lean back, lift your armpit up towards the ceiling and stretch over, and then bring yourself back to the top. Because we've really prepped and warmed up the body, you should be fine working into these back bends, reaching to the left side, arm up, open, and back. However, if you are feeling that in your lower back with that leaning back, then you can just do this instead. Yeah. Otherwise, we're going to reach and hold the heel. Bend right back over. Opens up the whole of the front of the body. One more each side. Breathe in. Lift. Pushing that chest up. And back. And through. Awesome, guys. Good. Really feeling that one. So we're going to add a bit of rotation in here just to start to stretch out through the lower back. So 2 stretches. First one from here, I'm going to bend the left knee towards my chest. I'm going to hold the outside of the left knee with my right hand, and I'm going to reach my left hand out, so my left shoulder and hand press into the floor. Nice and simple. I'm just going to twist through and bring that knee downward towards the floor. And now normally I can't actually get my knee when I go straight into this stretch onto the floor. Because I'm so warmed up through this session, I can actually get a really nice full rotation and get deeper into that one. And then bring it back to the center. Stay with the same leg. One more time, twist it through. Now I'm going to come much deeper through the lateral hamstrings, off the hip and into the lower back. I'm going to bend my knee up. I'm going to take my fingers, my index and middle finger, I'm going to hold onto my big toe. And then I'm going to lock my I'm going to lock my thumb through those fingers. This creates a toe lock. Keep looking at the ceiling, but then try to stretch that leg out towards straight. And then bend. Yeah? Try to straighten, push the heel away, push the knee away, and bend. Couple more. Push away. Bend. Final one. And hold. Don't worry if you can't get your knee to straight. It's all about just working towards that. So even if your knees bent, not a problem. Let's spin around, do the other side. Bend up your right knee this time. Right arm out to the side nice and wide. Pull the knee across. Keep the right shoulder pressing down towards the floor. Don't worry if it lifts a little bit. But the idea is we really reach out through this right arm. Breathing into it. See how close you can pull that knee towards the floor. Back, one more. Again, make sure you're square down the mat. Twisting through. Bending the knee up. Middle finger, index finger, hold the big toe. Wrap your thumb through the middle so you get that lock. And then straight, push away through your heel, push your knee away from you and pull your foot up. You get a really nice deep stretch down through the back of the leg, off the hip, maybe into the lower back. And if you're reaching through the right arm, perhaps off the pecs and the biceps on that right side as well. And release back to the center. Okay, nice work, guys. So we've just got a couple more to go. So just a little bit through the inner thighs and then just some shoulder opening as well, some postural work. So we're going to come onto the mat kneeling. I'm going to bring my knees wide, put my toes together. So knees wide, toes together. And then I'm going to lunge my right leg out to the side. My foot relatively flat to the floor. Don't worry if the outside of your foot doesn't touch the floor, but you're just trying to press the outside of the foot down towards the floor. And then you're going to keep your back nice and flat, and you're just going to rock back and forwards. This will give you a nice bit of length through those inner thighs. I'll come and do it to the side so you can kind of get an idea for the position here. Knees wide, toes together, leg out to the side, rock back. Try not to round your back here, trying to take your tailbone, push your tailbone out and lengthen. My foot slightly in front of the line of my hips. Good. Just work your way into it slowly, just ease your way into it. And then from here, walk up onto your hands, just slightly in front of you. Take your right arm, thread it through like we did earlier. That will really increase that stretch to the inner thigh. And then I'm going to push down through this left hand, and I'm going to reach up to create a nice shape. Up, spreading the collarbones, and reach and through. Okay, keep going. So you can get another angle, sitting into it, reach, stretching up, opening through. Last one, open through. Really good, guys. Cross to the other side, bring that left leg out, rock forward and back. Through. Again, I'll just do that to the side so you can see. Back stays flat. Try not to tuck under or round off. Might feel really quite intense stretch coming up through the inner thigh or even into the groin. And then through. Onto your hands. Taking the left arm. The further you reach through, the more that will intensify that stretch. Reach up and through and up, lifting the chest and through, up and through. Good. And release. Finally, a little bit of work through the shoulders and the upper body just to open up posture. From here, I'm going to take my blocks. I'm going to stack them up at the end of my mat, side by side. Okay? So I'm just running them along their spine so they're a little bit higher. I'm going to walk my knees back and then my palms on top. And then I'm going to drop my chest down towards the floor, and I'm going to look through my fingertips, and I'm going to drop my chest and my chin down towards the floor. So just going to stretch out through those anterior shoulder rotators, mobilize through the thoracic spine, stretch the pecs and the lats a little bit. Then I'm going to push up my mid back, and then I'm going to drop down again. Lift my abs in, push down with my arms, round, and then drop again. Each time you might come a bit lower, 2, and the final one, and down. Really good. Okay, And then final stretch we're going to do from here is we're going to come down onto the elbows. I'm going to prop my elbows on top of the yoga blocks, clasp my hands together, and then a similar thing, I'm just going to drop my head through that space, so between my biceps, and all the way down to the floor. Then I'm going to lift, and then I'm going to lower through. Lift, and lower. You might, if you've got good range of motion, you could always go a bit higher with the blocks. Just imagine you're pushing your armpits down to the floor. One more. Through. Holding. The hands over the elbows. Bit of a sticky stretch sometimes, this one. Good, and release. Okay guys, so there is a really nice full body mobility session that you can use to help to complement your running. If you wanted to, you could always break it up into sections and do sections of it. And don't forget that obviously there's a lot of other important qualities as well to help to complement your endurance running that Pilates can offer. And I'll be doing that throughout the series. So I'll have a part 2, a part 3 and a part 4 where we'll look at some core training, some strength, endurance, muscle activation and stabilization as well. So quite a lot to think about. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the class today and I look forward to seeing you next time. Cheers guys.